Welcome to my alley. It's weird. We picked this location because of the art, not because it's an alley. Anyways, we are somehow already in February, and so we're gonna be talking about the month of January of 2026 versus a year ago, the month of January 2025. And we're gonna go over some numbers here that I find pretty fascinating. All right, so the first number that I think is important to look at is active inventory on the market. It's a little windy out. And what that means is the active amount of homes that are currently for sale. So for the month of January of 2026, for the state of Washington, there are almost 21% more homes on the market this January than January from 2025. Now, Skagit County was a little bit less. It was 7.4%, but it is a greater amount of homes actively for sale, which means if you're a seller, probably a little slower to take the time to sell. Or if you're a buyer, you've got a few more options, right? Next stat I want to look at is solds. So the amount of homes that are actually closing and recording with new buyers. For Washington State as a whole, sales were down 7% for January of 2026 versus January of 2025. Now, Skagit County was even a little bit worse. Skagit County was down 10.3% year over year. So there were 10.3% less homes that closed in January of this year versus January 2025. Months of inventory. What that means is if no new homes came on the market, the amount of time it would take at our current kind of purchase rate for all the homes to be sold is the months of inventory on the market. And last year, obviously, if you can imagine there being more activity now or more active inventory now and less sales, there's probably more months of inventory now than there was a year ago. And that's true. So in Washington State last year, there was 2.8 months of inventory in January. And this year, we're 3.6 months of inventory for January in Washington State. In Skagit County, similar. Last year was 2.6 months of inventory. Now we're at 3.2. So again, time of market's increasing, sales are decreasing, months of inventory is going up. What's our last one? It's windy. There's a wind chime. Why is there a wind chime in the alley? Median sales price. So this is like the average, not average obviously, but the median sales price of homes that are closing. So for January of this year versus January of last year for the state of Washington, median sales price is down. It's down 3.3%. Skagit County, a little bit of caveat, we're actually up a little bit. However, since we don't have nearly as many sales to go off of, some of that change is due to some really high price sales that closed. But if you look at individual developments, for example, say like Skagit Highlands, we are seeing median home prices decline. So that's it. That's Washington State, Skagit County, year over year for January of 2026 versus January of 2025.